Good evening, distinguished DeGents of the world. We are back. It's playoff football time,
Let's
wild card weekend.
fucking go. Let's fucking go.
I'm
Playoffs.
mediocre. I'm mediocre management, joined by Big Bucks Beta. Big Bucks.
Mediocre week 18. Kind of a mediocre week 18 for me as far as picks. Real quick, 7-8 AT or 7-9 ATS. Futures portfolios. We'll discuss more of
Yo,
them in the off season, but I had some pretty good fucking hits as far as futures went.
yes, you did your NFC East for all of our viewers last week. NFC East parlay successful.
Yes, sir. Eagles first, Cowboys second, Giants third, Commanders last. 9.5 to 1. Take that to the house. Uh, Another parlays, which I did share on the Twitter at DeGents Podcast. Jacksonville Jaguars hedge came through. Ended up flipping. Ended up losing the division parlay, which would have been 12 to 1, but I did manage to squeeze the hedge, turned 15 whole dollars that would have been a loss and flipped it into $150 profit. Can't be too mad at
Yeah.
that.
We were both on Jaguars second half, so that was good.
Hit that. That was good. Good correlated bets overall. Steelers over wins. That hit. The Ravens overs did not, unfortunately. I think hard to really account for injuries. I think Baltimore just had one too many games they blew that could have been victories. Was down by one, so I don't think that was a bad bet, but more of a
No, you
bad
were
bet
close.
just given the circumstance.
Yeah, and I think we if you remember, we were both down on Cincinnati, and Cincinnati ended up having a good year.
Very much so. Other than that, the week in a weird way, the ones I was right about, I was like dead on. The ones I was wrong about, I was like completely off. Aaron Rodgers like completely shit the bed Sunday night.
Oh, that
Like
was
wasn't even
brutal.
close. Terrible way to end the night, especially trying to get on a super boost. That was rough. But we're
Yeah,
into the playoffs and we're
yeah.
turning over a new page. Fuck the totals. Fuck the past. This is playoffs. We
If you heard
handicap.
that noise, it's Grey Goose time.
It's a goose. It's
It's gray.
gray.
It's a gray goose.
Mm. I
If
got my
anyone,
tequila.
if anybody doesn't know, I'm joining you from ground zero, which is my basement, still in tatters, but
Ooh, you're
for
making do.
for one night, yeah. Here's to the playoffs, buddy. It's been a
Yes,
tough,
sir.
tough regular season, but Swans of
Not the worst, but not the best. Salute. Mm. There we go.
mm, mm.
With that, we celebrate the wild card madness. I wouldn't even say weekend. Wild card madness seems to be the term. 6 games on the slate. We're running Saturday through Monday. Any initial opening thoughts, mediocre mansman, to
Hoping to get rid of
the
that
slate?
moniker this week. I think when we talk next week, what we're gonna say is NFC playoffs exciting, AFC dull. I think the
Interesting take.
AFC, there are two games that are, I mean, no offense, not shouldn't really be playoff games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I think it's gonna be kind of NFC East or not East NFC games. I my predictions are probably gonna be exactly as you expect. AFC games, I think we're in for a roller coaster, which I think kind of goes hand in hand with yours. Exciting AFC doll or whatever you said.
Yeah,
Yes,
dull, dull.
exciting NFC, but dull. I don't know if it's dull. I think both will be exciting. I just think for very different reasons, one way or another. But no, I mean last year I went 6-0 ATS wild card. I'm hoping to have a repeat. I mean that's just really what my goal here is. That and to get my dog to quit growling because he has to be protective for some reason. But anyways, Mansman, are we ready to kick this off or what?
Get into it, man. Get into it.
Let's go. Odds always presented by FanDuel. I guess I should say if you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But sometimes the solution is more gambling. No.
Just gotta
All
lean
right.
in and go for it.
Yes, sir. So, first game on the slate, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time. Seattle Seahawks squeak into the 7. They're going to San Francisco. Road divisional matchup. Seahawks are 9.5-point road dogs. They're plus 385. The over under is 42. Niners are a minus 500 home favorite. I will take the lead on this one if that's okay with you. So last year we had 5 NFL quarterbacks making their playoff debut. That was Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones, Kyler Murray. This year it's 6. Both Saturday games have dual quarterbacks making their playoff debuts. So, what we will get into later, and this is going to be a bit of a teaser, that is going to be a very important moniker going into the wild card
I was
slate.
gonna say last year wasn't your big handicap. Quarterbacks making their first start in the playoffs were dreadful, and you bet
That is
against every
correct.
one of them. And
Now, the first 2 games is nothing but quarterbacks making their debuts. So, my handicapping for these games are probably going to resort to the norm plus playoff situations just in and of themselves for each team and coaches and organizations. With that said, we have Seattle and Geno Smith going to San Francisco with Brock Purdy, who is an undefeated starting quarterback. I can't believe I'm saying that either, but
I
here
mean, the
we are.
Niners have won what 10 straight now, so
Yup.
makes sense.
So the narrative for this specific NFC West rivalry, because Jason, we all know you love the NFC West,
Oh
the
boy.
narrative really was that Pete Carroll owned the Niners, but I'm thinking that after this year, and this is a bad take, and I know it is. I'm thinking it was actually Russell Wilson who owned the Niners because the Seahawks this year went 0-2. Both games arguably were not even close. Russell Wilson got the ugliest fucking win out of the 3, but he did get a win. Pete Carroll didn't. So it makes you wonder right there and then of itself. And normally in a situation where you have these dual quarterbacks making their debuts, um, you would think to take the veteran and Geno Smith and not the rookie. But when you look at these teams, I think you can obviously infer San Francisco is the better team here. They are the number 2. And I just don't see this game. I'm not going to be cute here and think that the Seahawks have a chance. I think they're just going to be blown the hell out. They are the 7 seed. They're the team that squeaked in. They're happy to be there. It's a nice story with Geno Smith, given that he was a backup. But this is a tale of a team who shouldn't have made it and the superior team. Pete Carroll, actually, if you look at his last 5 playoff games, stop. Sorry, guys. Uh, Pete Carroll in his last 5 playoff games went 1-4 straight up. If you actually look at his last 5 road playoff games, also he went 1-4. That one win was against Philadelphia back in 2019. And if you actually remember about what happened here, Carson Wentz in the first quarter went down with an injury, and a 40-year-old Josh McCown who came out of retirement to back up Carson Wentz, came out into the game and actually played really respectfully. Pete Carroll, since they last went to the Super Bowl, 1-3 ATS on the road in playoff games. Kyle Shanahan, it's weird because he doesn't always make the playoffs, but when he does, this guy, 2 times now, yeah, and there goes my dog. This guy now, twice, has made it to the NFC Conference Championship.
Yeah.
He did lose last year to the Rams. I called that too. Niners 5-1 ATS under Shanahan. Even in the regular season, Niners have won 10 in a row. They're 8-2 ATS, 10-1 since Christian McCaffrey came into the picture. And the Seahawks barely beat two bad teams in January. They're 2-7 ATS since November. I just think it's a total flip flop of teams. I'm gonna go deal with my dog, but go ahead and give your handicap. I'll be back.
Yeah, no, sure. The tough part of this game is the line. When you look at it, it's you have Seattle and San Francisco playing for the third time this year, and the last time they played, albeit in Seattle, it was an 8-point game, and the line around 9.5 may go down a little, may go up, but you're going to probably be in anywhere from the 10 to 8 range. It's a good line. It's kind of where I see this game being. I the third time, sort of that old moniker, tough to beat a team 3 times, doesn't really scare me. I think San Francisco's going to win the game. Just think about Seattle. They get in, they win an overtime game at home against the Rams. A, a lot of people said that it was poorly officiated and that the Seahawks were the beneficiary of some favorable calls. So it's one of those things where I think San Fran's the better team. I say it all the time. Wild card weekend is really the contenders versus the pretenders. And I think Seattle could play close for a little bit. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the game's close, but I think San Francisco will win comfortably second half, fourth quarter. They're at home. They've been a great team at home all year. They've won 10 straight. Brock Purdy doesn't really even need to do all that much because we know that the Seattle Seahawks defense is bad against the run, bad against the pass too. Just a tough spot for the Seahawks. Tough spot for the Seahawks when the Niners are staying at home. They won big at home last week. They're going to be at home again this week. They've been great at home. Tough
Yeah,
call with the spread, but hard to bet against the Niners
spread
considering how
goes.
they've been.
The spread argument, what I would hear and see is Brock Purdy has done really well lately in the regular season. Now it's the playoffs. Does he choke under the pressure? Where Geno Smith, the veteran, understandably, he hasn't made playoffs either, but let's be real. This guy, Geno Smith, is really playing like he has nothing to lose. Whereas Brock Purdy, I mean, they're literally going around saying this guy could be the starter.
What's the over under in this game?
42.
I tend to
For
lean under here. I tend to lean under for this game.
As do I. And actually, I'm going to go double check that because I did have an over under handicap for this game, but,
Can't
life is
you
getting
see the Niners
involved.
being very careful with a young quarterback, Geno Smith? I could see this being, especially too, maybe a first quarter. If like a first quarter spread is, I don't see this being a track meet.
I play
Normally,
over under. The way I would play this is over under halves. So maybe over first half, under second.
I would think the opposite because I think they're going to come out careful. I think they're going to come out cautious. Tell you the truth.
I do have over 42.5 by default. The Seahawks have managed to get points, even garbage points at the last minute against this Niners team. The other handicap I heard too was that this Niners defense has been playing spectacular. They have had times though where they have struggled. The Broncos game being one that I remember where they were just giving up play after play. Um, God, I'd really have to go back to the Niners schedule real quick, but there are certain games where their defense has looked susceptible. They have given up a lot of points at times. The Commanders were one. The Raiders game was a big one that I actually am now going to go back to. It was the Raiders game where the Raiders came out slinging it with fucking Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
don't know
the
though. I
only
don't think they're
thing,
gonna sling it this game, man.
yeah, both games against the Seahawks, it was 27-7, and then the last time it was 21-13, but that was a backdoor cover. It was 21-6 for the longest time. So I guess the real question is how much is this offense really going to do? And I can see, my thinking is I think they go up early, then play careful. And that's why I would say be careful. As far as betting the over under here, I would lean over just kind of as a default, but and only because it is 42 and a half. I mean, let's be real. The Niners for the past four games, 38 points, 37 points, 37 points, 21 points, 35 points, 33, 13, 38, the three before that. So the Niners offense has been explosive. And looking at it at 42 and a half, this is telling me that Seattle's defense is going to step up. And when the fuck have they done that in the last 2 months? That's my
Hmm.
issue with this number. This really should be an overplay, but like I said, what I would do, play over first half. Because you got to think about it. If this game's going to be close, it's not going to be defensive. I think it's going to be offensive. I think it's just going to be back and forth gunning Geno Smith and Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
Like the Jarrett Stidham Raiders game.
and that's weird because I see it being the opposite. I think both teams are gonna come out a little conservative. Two teams, quarterbacks first playoff game. I think they're gonna try not to make mistakes. And I could see it strangely enough being a sort of 6-3 game at halftime, 9-6 game at halftime, and then in the second half maybe, changing. But that's just me.
Last nugget I'll bring up, Saturday game, Seahawks are 0-2 straight up since 2016. San Francisco 4-0. So history, stats, I think in general, just everything points towards San Francisco. I
Yeah.
have no reason to think otherwise.
Yeah. Maybe you play
All right.
if there's a last point, if there's a prop McCaffrey over rushing yards, maybe or a McCaffrey over rush attempts, I could see them handing the ball to him quite a bit. But
I think
next
this
game.
could be very much, and I would also add to that George Kittle. I know he's getting a lot of love right now. He has had a lot of touchdowns and a lot of attempts in the regular season. Playoff George Kittle tends to disappear. So
Mm.
if it were me, and I'm looking at player passing yards or not passing, receiving
Excuse
yards,
me.
which it has come out. George Kittle right now over under 44 and a half. Believe it or not, I actually think it's appropriate. I would actually be tempted to play the under because it is split even at minus 114.
I the only
Rushing yards,
thing
Christian McCaffrey over 74 and a half.
oh could be an overplay right there. Uh, that could be an overplay. One thing to be careful of with Kittle, if I remember correctly, the Seahawks have not been good against tight ends. So just be
They
careful.
have not been good against tight ends.
Yeah, be
But
careful.
Jesus Christ, why am I dog losing shit? Okay. Jason, I'll introduce the game real quick. It's the Jags. It's the Jags and the Chargers. Jags are at home. 2.5 is the spread in favor of LA. Minus 138. Plus 118 for the Jags. Over under 47.5.
Yeah, ooh, tough, 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 tough game. I so think I'd have to favor the Chargers here, and uh, I hesitate to do it. This is not one of those games I feel confident about. Reason being, neither team looked very good in their last game out. I thought the Jaguars got lucky to have won that game against Tennessee. I mean, if you think about it, Tennessee was winning pretty much the whole game, looking good, and then the Jaguars defense got that turnover. I mean, my question was, were the Jaguars going to score any more points in that game? I mean, the Jaguars offense couldn't get the run going, couldn't do anything against a Tennessee team that we essentially wrote off for dead. So
Yeah,
Jacksonville's a
Joshua Dobbs. I mean, I think the other argument too was Joshua Dobbs. Because it wasn't like he did much either, but he clearly was the superior quarterback in that game. And
yeah.
it wasn't even by a long shot. It was like he had it. And then one play I mean, I know they're arguing it could have been a forward pass, but come on, it was a fumble.
No, it was a fumble. Jacksonville won the game. I mean, on the other hand, see, the problem was to me, this seemed like a very clear Chargers win to me 2 weeks ago. What the hell is Brandon Staley doing? Can we talk about this? This guy playing a 3-12 or 3 and whatever the hell their record was,
3
four
and
three and
13.
13 Denver Broncos team. He suddenly had the desire to go and play all of his starters for 3.5 quarters.
You know what? No, I'm gonna stop you here. Why are we pretending we're surprised at Brandon Staley's incompetence? Why are we pretending his incompetent ego would get in the way of a meaningless game?
And I mean, he's like, well, we wanted
Why
to
does
go
it
into the
shock you?
playoffs on a good note. I mean, we were sitting there, and remember at
They
halftime,
still fucking lost. They still lost.
bro, I remember
Nothing
at
good
halftime, the
ever
Chargers had a
happens.
good drive, the game had tied. It was like, oh, okay. Chargers offense ended on a high note. They did what they were supposed to. Now it's time for, time for the backups. He brings the starters out and they lose the game. I mean,
Oh no.
and Mike
Come to find
Williams.
out. Come to find out, this dickhead, not only did it cost one of his top receivers to get hurt, who may or may not be playing, by the way. This incompetent, ego fucking maniac who thinks he's the smartest coach in the room, smells his own fucking farts, this fucking idiot activated 48 players for this game. On top of that, Jason,
Just
how many wide receivers were they? How many do you think there were?
four.
Six. Four. Four on week 18.
This guy's a tool.
Joey Boza literally comes off IR 2 weeks ago and re-aggravates a groin injury against the Broncos. He doesn't pull the starter till the fourth quarter because this guy, and look, you want to go into the playoffs on a win? Fine. Why are you waiting till the fourth quarter to pull your starters?
No, that was crazy. That was crazy.
What a dum dum.
Especially against a
Crazy.
Denver team that, let's be honest, Denver's playing for their jobs. They're playing for pride. They're not. You're getting guys in there who, let's be honest, they're guys who are playing for their career. Are they worried about taking Justin Herbert's kneecap off?
No, they're not. Like, and this is what I don't understand either. Brandon Staley keeping Justin Herbert in for that. Like, why? You have Chase Daniel, very competent backup quarterback. You're playing the fucking Jags. You're locked in the fifth. This wasn't like the division was on the line, like it was for Dallas, who we will get into later. This wasn't like, um, I mean, I don't know, the Vikings and the Niners who were playing at the same time as the Eagles, and one of them could have got the one. I mean, and let's be fair, like they played starters for the most of the game. Even they pulled their people earlier and still got a win. You kept your players into the fourth quarter and still lost. And by the way, I hope the Jags win. Like,
Oh,
I'm going to
me
start
too.
with, I'm praying and cheering for the Jags. This is a no bet. I am not putting money
Yeah,
on this game. I
this a no bet.
cannot do it.
This
Maybe
a no
over
bet.
unders. Maybe over unders. That's a hard maybe. But here's my thinking. Despite all the bullshit with Brandon Staley, I still think they're going to win. And that's the disgusting part.
Well, they seem like a better team overall. Last week, notwithstanding,
I
Jacksonville.
mean,
I mean, they're a good story, but here's where good stories go to die.
yeah, this is the week good stories go to die. Chargers as a road favorite, 4-1 ATS. Chargers, they're supposedly good road team, but lately, if you look, they have been playing average. They're 3-3 straight up, 4-2 ATS in their last 6 road games. However, what is of note too, and this is why I think the Chargers are going to win and cover, 5-1 straight up in ATS against non-divisional road games. They lost all 3 of their divisional road games this year, and I think that's just what skews the numbers.
Mhm.
And the Chargers, for the longest time, have had issues on the road against their own division. That's why every year, like when I see the divisional odds and the Chargers are up there, I'm like, well, that's fucking cute, you know? Can they win in Kansas City? Can they
I
even
hope we
win in
get
San
Kansas
Francisco?
City plus money again next year.
We may have to get like a freaking payday loan just to fucking
Bro,
to make
remember
that bet.
Kansas City was the third best team in the division. They were shit. So all they did was fucking
Unbelievable.
just cruise, and
Thinking was Tyreek Hill the offense, and I was like, are they out of their minds? Like
it's called Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes.
now, the
Respect the
Tennessee
name.
Titans was a bad pick, but then again, Ryan Tannehill got hurt.
I mean, was it? They had all those injuries, and they still almost won the division. Bro,
They,
you were 8 minutes away from hitting that bet like straight out right. You were 8 minutes away.
yeah, they were minutes away, and let's be real, they also had a couple games just not go their way.
Yeah.
But anyways, back into the Chargers Jags game. Chargers 4-0-1 ATS in their last 5. Um, in favor of the Jags, though, the Chargers have lost 3 straight Saturday games going all the way back to 2015. Jags are 2-0 on Saturdays, but they've only played the Tennessee Titans, including last week. Jags 3-1 straight up at home in playoff franchise history. 4-2 straight up in the wild card slot. Jags have won 5 in a row straight up, 7-2 since November. Um, my thinking too, this is why another reason why the Jags have now had 4 straight comeback victories at home.
You don't know if they could afford to do that against the Chargers. Get
No,
behind
the
big. And
Chargers have actually been like one of the best first half teams all year. Just their last 5, 4-1 ATS, and in their last 5 games, and in their last 5 road games, they're actually 11-6 on the year, tied for third. Um,
remember
but my
too,
question
first
is,
remember too, a first time quarterback in the playoff.
well, they're both first time quarterbacks.
Oh shit, Herbert hasn't been in the play. Oh my god.
This is his
Yeah,
first
you're right.
time.
Oh, bummer. I'd still go Chargers first half. Maybe that's the play, Chargers first half.
I might, you know what? I think we're gonna lock that down. We're gonna lock that in.
Yeah, Chargers first half for that game.
Yeah, that might be the play. Chargers first half. And again, like I think we look at this, and this is what it comes down to: are the Chargers going to do enough in the second half to maintain the lead? Jacksonville, if you look past 2 months of who they played, they're not well-rounded teams. They played the Titans twice, who was on Joshua Dobbs as their quarterback. They played the Jets, who had Zach Wilson and a
Yeah.
third string
Who
quarterback,
lost
Dante
six
Pettis,
straight to end the year. Yep.
on a Thursday night. They had the Texans and their crazy dual quarterback Lovey Smith system. The Raiders, who arguably sucks the worst on defense. They've blown every lead they've ever had. The Ravens, who were injured all year, also blows every lead they ever had, lacking offense at times. Their toughest opponent was Dallas, and they caught Dak Prescott literally at his worst, if you ask me. Or at the very least, it was his worst performance of the year. And I just think this is the game they get caught. Not with pants around their ankles per se, but I just think that like 4 straight come from behind home victories, you got to get caught at some point.
Yeah, I
And
think
this Chargers team is the one to do it.
contender, pretender. I think the Chargers are a real playoff team. I think Jacksonville's a cute story.
This is an under 47.5 game for me too. Because I can see Jacksonville not showing up. The Chargers defense has actually been improving as of late. I know the Broncos game wouldn't show it, but I will say, like lately, they've had their players come back. Joey Bosa did return. They still have Khalil Mack. They're getting their cornerbacks again. This is the oddly enough, I actually think too. You look at these two teams. Who do you even want to see come play Kansas City? Do you want to see the Chargers or do you want to see the Jags?
No. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like Brandon Staley's in confidence. Like this is the game. I think his career's on the line. I think if he loses this game, he is fired.
I'd be tempted. After the shit he pulled last week, I'd be tempted. For real.
Well, not to mention too the shit he pulled last year against the Raiders, Week 18. Like
Yeah.
literally could have had the tie, could have went into the
Mm.
playoffs. He calls timeout, and
Yep.
that's why I
Yep.
say like again, crazy enough. You could play Chargers first half, Jags second half if you really want to get cute. Because Brandon Staley time management is like arguably on level with Nathaniel Hackett. Business decisions, coaching decisions are on par with Nathaniel Hackett. And this guy could literally, like, I heard this on another podcast. Brandon Staley could screw up a wet dream. That's how bad he is.
That's funny.
No, but
Yeah.
no. I hope this clown fucking loses. I can't
Yeah.
stand Brandon. I can't stand him.
Chargers first half's the only thing I have for this. I want no part of player props. No, nah, nothing.
If this is a 6 point game, do you play Jack's second half? If it's plus money
I don't know if I
or
could do
plus
that.
points.
I just don't have faith in the eggs after last week. I think this is just a step up in competition. Although, if you remember, these teams have played once before. That was the game Justin Herbert was out, 38-10 Jags. So maybe
Yeah,
a
and
little
that
bit
was
of
their
a
first.
vengeance, but
And that was their first road win in like
100 years.
20. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Sunday 1 o'clock, starting off the Sunday slate. Your Buffalo Bills are hosting the Miami Dolphins, who also squeaked into the 7 slot. Spread is now down to 13.5 with the news that Tua Tagovailoa is out. Teddy Bridgewater
Hey,
probably out.
no, Skylar
Skylar
Thompson
Thompson.
starting.
Yes, sir. Skylar Thompson is the starter. Dolphins plus 640. Bills minus 950. Over under is 43.5. Oh, I didn't even mention the stats was where the money is. But I don't really think it mattered for the first two games. The money could be on the Niners. I'm still picking them. Jags Chargers is split down the middle at 51 to 55%.
Oh, okay.
Bills are getting 79% of the bets on the spread, 87% of the money. Money management, give us the honors. It's your team. What do you have?
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? I'll give you an answer. Literally anywhere else. This is the first of the games that I mean, you know me. I'm like a skeptical Bills fan. I get nervous about I mean, this is not a game. I mean, this is we've seen Skylar Thompson. We saw him against the Jets last week. We saw Josh Allen in the playoffs last year. I mean,
Well,
in
he was good against the
Buffalo.
Patriots.
Who? Oh,
Josh Allen.
Allen? Yeah, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Miami made the playoffs. Good for them. There's a reason this is a playoff game and it's a two touchdown. And in the playoffs, I don't see this game being competitive. I mean, it just is. Miami defense is going to have to come up with a Herculean effort to keep this game close. And I know the Bills' defense hasn't been great. They've had trouble against the run. Raheem Mostert ran wild last game. Oh, that's right. He hasn't practiced with a thumb injury. He might be out for the game. I mean, Miami's banged up. You look at their injury report, they're banged up. The Bills are relatively healthy now. This is a
Yeah.
non-compete game. This non-compete.
If Damar Hamlin shows up to the game, what does this spread go to? I mean,
Bills minus 30.
That's my thought. I mean, uh, I'll give you the full handicap. Like I'll try to be cute here, but I'll do what I can. Bills have won their last three straight playoff home games. They've covered their last two. Since 2020, Bills are 9-1 straight up at home against divisional opponents. Oddly enough, though, they're only 5-4-1 ATS, 1-1-1 against Miami. I would be concerned if I was Buffalo. And really, what my concern is this going to be another game like the Patriots game last week? Do you give up too many? Do you give up mistakes? Do you have trouble scoring against the defense at times? But is this a Dolphins defense, like you said, that's going to show up and give up that and make that Herculean effort like they did the last two matchups? One matchup was insane and they got the win. Another matchup was insane. They lost by a field goal. I just think asking for it a third time is asking for too much. And this is why you lay the points. I brought this point up at the beginning of the episode. I am now going to get into it. Why am I laying the 13 and a half? It's Skylar Thompson, an NFL rookie quarterback playoff debut. NFL quarterback playoff debuts alone, excluding the rookie status, you're looking at a 26-44 ATS record since 2002.
Mm,
You're looking at roughly 37% of quarterbacks.
yikes.
We already have two games where it's nothing but quarterbacks making their debut. You're already looking at 50%. This number, just statistically speaking, it has to go down. This is the game. I think it goes down. And it's crazy because, under a regular season circumstance, you ask me to lay 13 and a half at home with Buffalo. I say, hell no. Like, you actually should take the points at 13 and a half, even though it is a rookie, because
Yeah.
Buffalo has been
If this was
inconsistent.
Tua, I mean, well, the spread wouldn't be this. If it was Tua, even 10.5 in the playoffs, considering what happened, it's like, well, they've been a quirky sort of. The teams have both played close games, like maybe. But with Skylar Thompson, I mean, if the Bills get up early,
Well,
no,
think of it this way, too. The Dolphins, with Tua, covered both games against Buffalo. They were both tight knit close. They now have Skylar Thompson without Tua Tagovailoa. This year, they won against the Jets. How did they win that game, Jason? A
Joe
field
Flacco was the
goal at the
quarterback.
last minute. Joe
Yeah,
Flacco was the quarterback. Oh, and they got a last minute safety to get the cover.
yeah. That was a bad beat of the. That was one of the bad beats of the year. If you had the Jets.
That would be. I'm glad I didn't bet that game. I actually, hopefully, I warned people. I don't know if I did. I'd have to go back and watch the episode, but uh, that was a crazy. I did say under Jets points. That was my handicap. Take the Jets under the points because there's just no way with Joe Flacco they're going to score. They never do. And Miami in general, they covered. Oh yeah, so they beat the Jets, but they covered against the Pats week 17. Also kind of crazy. Like they barely got that cover too. Miami has dropped four road games in a row. They're 3-6 on the road outright. They've covered two in a row. They've covered six of their last seven against AFC East teams. I think at this point we're just arguing the spread. I don't
But I
debate
think
the
you even got
spread.
to throw those out because a lot of the games are Tua. I mean, it's just a different. We've seen this team with and without Tua, like you said it yourself. I mean, it's just a. It's as bad as. And first off, get all the Tua, man. Like, I'm a Bills fan. I'll give him shit. I'll say he sucks. Fuck him. Like, guys had three concussions this year. Best to
In one
him.
year,
Like that's a really scary, best to him. But we've seen it.
my
Like they're a different team without him, and I don't even think he's that great. And they're a different team without him. It's just not the
he's not
same
my
team.
favorite quarterback by any means, but it's disgusting how the team has treated him with these concussion symptoms. I mean, and it's crazy. I feel like this is a Dolphins team who does want to win. They've been in the bottom of the barrel for so long, and they're just so desperate. But they're literally going to trash a franchise quarterback worse than Andrew Luck. And I never thought I would see that
Bro,
again.
you're getting afraid where he gets another one like next year. You're wondering if this guy's ever gonna. I hope not. I mean, you never want to see a guy's
Right.
career end like that. You know, it's
No, not at all. I mean, Damar Hamlin was a scary enough situation. I think that was the wake up call a lot of us
yeah,
see.
yeah. I mean,
But Dolphins without Tua, they're 2-6 straight up. Um, we've seen those wins already. I can't see this happening here. Um, Again, as far as the spread goes, the concern is does Buffalo's defense show up? Do they give up mistakes like they did last week? It's under 2 touchdowns right now, technically. Well, no, it is 2 touchdowns, 13 and a half. Is this a backdoor cover?
yeah, maybe. I mean,
That's the concern.
I think my last point on this, and then I'm gonna have to take just a very brief break, just very
We'll take
brief,
a pause
couple,
and then we'll
just a couple minutes, just a couple minutes. Last point on this. The question is, and I've heard this about a couple teams in the playoffs, but I think definitely the Bills. For the Bills, was the regular season, especially towards the end, was it kind of playing out the string, getting ready for the playoffs? I mean, this team knows what its goals were. This is the money time. They've been waiting all year for this. Like, I expect a super motivated Bills team where I'm wondering some of those games they played close, like the Bears game in the first half, like some of those other games. I mean, they won,
the
but did you get
Bears,
the
the
Bills'
Patriots
best
game.
effort? Yeah, I mean, did you get their best effort?
Probably not.
So that's the question. But I'm going to take a brief break now. Certainly,
Yeah, I got you.
any last
So,
points
real
you
quick,
have, and then I'll be right back. Oh, go ahead.
I'll give a quick point. Over 44 and a half points here, I think, is a default play. Bills could get 45 on their own. Um, Also, too, Dolphins offense without Tua, there's only been 2 occasions they actually scored more than 17 points, but 17 points does seem to be the magic number, guys. So, um, my last point would be that if you're going to look at team totals, which I can look up real quick, um, score. Oh wait, now it's down to 43 and a half. I'm going to mark that down. Crazy that third string quarterback is coming in and the over under totals only dropped 1 point. So that kind of goes to show you the point that I'm going to make here, which is that sometimes when you do these over under totals, having a really good read on one team can be just as profitable as having a read on both. Yeah, Dolphins right now is over under 14 and a half. Um, Last few games with the Dolphins, it's either been 17 or less. They've had one game a year within the last 2 seasons where they scored more than that, and those were games they either won or covered. Let's see here, just for this season. Yeah, they won the Jets game without Tua. That was an 11-6 game. They beat Houston last year. It was 17-9. Um, and they had one other game where they did score more than 17. That was against the Raiders. That was September 26th last season. That was like early in the year. Jacoby Brissett was in. Real close game. Again, against the Raiders team who probably wasn't all that impressive. See if we can mark the time.
I'll go and I'll edit this part out. And whenever
Sounds
you're
good.
ready, bud, take your time. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I'm gonna finish this slice real quick.
Yeah, no, sure, sure.
Mm.
Jim Kelly's sitting here waiting.
I see that, man. I'm
He
happy.
may not he may not be up on the wall though for a while if they're gonna fucking paint it.
That's understandable though.
Oh
Like
shit.
that. That's okay.
Damn.
You know,
Ow. Oh
I'm just
fuck.
saying if I see shit that looks like toothpaste or jizz covered on it, like the Trells, we're gonna have a
No.
problem.
Oh my God, that hurt. I don't know what the hell happened. Your volume jumped, and that shit blew up my eardrums.
Oh, sorry about that, bro.
No, fucking hell. Ah,
Mm.
God.
You know what?
Damn.
I'm gonna grab a top off real quick.
Ah, ow. That hurt. There you
Let me
go.
top this.
Guzzle.
I'm gonna top this off real quick, and then we'll get going.
Guzzle that shit.
Did you get? Okay, did you get your salad? Did you get your cheese stick? Okay. Huh? You can find your own food, but I just didn't know if you saw it. Next time I try to be polite, I'll let you know. Pain in the ass. All right. Do you want to count it down? Because I'm about to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Whenever.
Ooh, jeez. Oh, hold on. Let me second half courage here.
Let's do it.
I heard like a hissing noise in the background. I was like, is my fucking shit leaking again? I'm like
All right.
paranoid.
Well.
Every time I hear a fucking noise, I'm like looking for the goddamn leak. But no, it was no, it was on your end. So,
Traumatizing.
bro, I was like, seriously. Oh Lord. Okay. Well, yeah. Count it down. Five,
Five,
four,
four.
three.
All right, guys. Welcome back to Distinguished DeGents Wild Card Edition. Big Bucks Beta back here. We had to take a quick break.
You, we're back.
Life gets in the
Got
way.
drinks. We edited. We got some new drinks on hand. Slandava.
Salute. Mm-mm-mm. Delicious.
Mm,
God, I love that.
mm.
Anyways, money management. You just missed my over under handicap, and basically what it was that the
I didn't
Dolphins
miss
without
it. I
Tua.
heard you.
Oh, look at that. Over under is 14 and a half. You could lean under at minus 118. Over 14 and a half is a bit risky. I would just play the over total here only because of Buffalo. But anyways, we're into the fourth game. Still in Sunday, 4:30. Make note of that, people. 4:30. Minnesota Vikings, 4:30. Kirk Cousins, the number 3 seed, hosting number 6. The New York Giants and Brian Daboll come back to town. Same kind of spread. They're coming in at +3, plus 136. Over under is 48 and a half. Where is the money right now? Let's find out. Vikings are minus 162, if I didn't mention that. Minnesota getting 55% of the spread, 52% of the money going to New York. And point number one, we did just see this game back in Christmas. The Giants almost led a comeback win. They did manage to tie it up. Somehow the Vikings and Greg Joseph got a 61-yard field goal to get the win. Ruined my round robin with the Giants as an underdog the last time around. Giants did get the cover. Point number two, Giants are 6-0 ATS this year after a loss. Their last 5 road games, they've gone 1-4 straight up. They've covered 4 in a row. Vikings after a win are 4-7-1 ATS. They're 8-1 straight up, but 4-5 ATS at home. Point number three, and this is where I'm going to throw up. Daniel Jones is a playoff quarterback.
Dable, good coach, huh?
Great. God, that would be a lot of people's biggest miss of the year is Dayball.
I mean, I'm telling you what, a lot of people are saying this Giants team reminds them of the 2008 Giants won the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
not me. I'm not one of those guys. Unlike my handicap in the regular season when we saw this, where I faded the Vikings. I made my Giants the dog of the week. This is out of the 6 games my favorite of the week, and I'm taking the
Ooh,
Vikings plus the with the points. And
ooh,
again, I'm resorting to this point and
going
just
against the Sharps.
why would you bet on Daniel Jones as a playoff quarterback on the road? Let's start with that. Playoff debut. Do you know what this situation reminds me of? Kyler Murray last year.
Well, I'm not betting it now.
Tell 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 me I'm wrong. Like I will hear you out, but tell me I'm wrong. This eerily reminds me of the Kyler Murray rookie quarterback situation on the road against a questionable team
Well,
who
the
looked
difference
really
is the
bad to end
Rams
the
were
season.
clearly better than. I think the Rams were clearly better than what a lot of people think the Vikings are.
Okay, well let's look at this from a numbers perspective. So NFL quarterback debuts, mentioned it earlier, and I'm gonna try to. It was the Bills handicap. 26-44 ATS. You're looking at roughly 32-33%. You look at this. We already have 2 games that it's going to hit, but you're already at 15% because you're 2 of 4. You're not going to have a fifth game or fourth game. Sorry, you're going to have a fourth game here. Fifth quarterback, or no, this will be your sixth. This will be your sixth quarterback. We're looking at 2 of 5, which if I bring up the calculator, I want to say that's like it's less than 30% already. You're looking at 40% right there, 2 of 5. Statistically speaking, we're looking at around a 30 to 33% average of quarterbacks.
Mhm.
This line at 3 points is telling me there's a 52% chance they're only going to lose by a field goal. Oh, which, given the Vikings, that's reasonable. You know, the Vikings, let's be honest, they've had a lot of close games to end the season. 3 points is not my issue. I do think that number's right. They did beat the Giants and the Commanders by a field goal. They lost to the Cowboys and the Eagles. They were 4-2 straight. The Vikings were 4-2 straight up in December, but only 2-4 ATS. I think a higher number would favor the Giants as far as spread goes. My problem is you look at this money line with the idea of the spread at only 3. The money line tells me there's a 42% chance this guy wins. There's a 42% chance that Daniel Jones, on his playoff debut on the road, is going to win. When statistically speaking, it is 33% at best. Call it a nerd numbers play. I'm fading that. That sounds like bullshit to me. I think, and let's be real, with that Vikings game, they were losing the majority of that game. They had to come back. And I know the Sharks are saying it was a close game.
It was
Vikings
a
are
close
worse
game.
DVOA. And it was I mean, sure, it was close, but Giants were down most of that game. This is a game where, crazily enough, I just think the Vikings offense will be too much for this Giants defense.
What
The
are the
Giants
bets
are
for? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
think the Giants are going to be a one and done Cinderella story. Like Dayball, he's earned our respect. There's nothing more right now he needs to prove to me. The Vikings are going to be at home. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere because it's the playoffs, and I'm telling you, we've seen this before with the Minnesota Vikings. Crazy home atmosphere.
Have we? We've never seen them lose at home in the playoffs before. Blair
Nope,
Walsh missing a field goal, lose against Seattle.
on the
Brett
road.
Favre throwing. That wasn't in Seattle though. That was in Minnesota.
Though that was in Seattle.
You sure?
Well, okay, hold on. That was not in the dome. That was in the outdoor stadium
Oh,
before this
okay.
dome was built.
Minneapolis Miracle. Okay, they won that. Wonderful.
No,
I
a lot of Minnesota games have been either on the road or not this stadium. I just don't like the Giants. East Coast team going to essentially the North, call it the Northwest.
It's
High,
not the Northwest. It's called the Midwest.
well, it's the North. I mean, they're like near Canada. So, I mean, I don't like this. But again, it's really Daniel Jones' playoff debut against the number 3 team. Like, and admittedly, they've looked bad. It's eerily reminiscent of the Steelers when they went 11-0. The difference is, I think this Bears win that the Vikings had was just a good reset button for them because they didn't really go all out. They still got a decent win. And now they're going to get the Giants, who, let's be honest, their offense runs through Saquon Barkley. If you stop Saquon and you make Daniel Jones throw, is he really going to outscore Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson, Dalvin Cook? I could go KJ Osborne, Jalen Rager. Like, I could go on.
What do you
I
think,
couldn't tell you
Justin Jefferson receiving prop over under 6.5 receptions?
I would only lean under because of, I think, there's regular season looks and then there's playoff looks. This is oddly enough, I think, a game you look at Adam Thielen and hit the over
Ooh.
because he's been underlooked all year. And I think if you're the Giants, your plan is to shut down Justin Jefferson. So you're going to look at other targets. You're going to look at their TJ Hawkinson's another one. I think he's had some bad drops, but I think they picked him up for a reason, and I think it's going to be games like this. And again, the numbers, I think if it were 4.5, I would lean Giants more, but only at 3 in a game that I think could end 24-20, 28-24. I think you have to favor the home team, and I'm going to favor the Vikings. So, and statistically speaking, the numbers are telling me there's a higher percentage Daniel Jones comes out of this when we're already looking at 40%. As far as our
Mm.
handicaps go, you're looking at 40% already. And I just think if he wins, you're telling me half of these quarterbacks are going to win or cover in their debut when statistically that doesn't happen. Last year, we had 5 quarterbacks, one of them won, and it was Joe Burrow. He ended up going to the Super Bowl, so he's like an outlier. But
Mm-hmm.
the other quarterbacks, what did they do? They fucking lost. They didn't cover. And maybe it's a system play from last year, and again, maybe it's anti-sharp. I have no faith in this Giants team at this point. And let's be honest, too. This is a ridiculous line for a Giants team who straight up lately, they beat the Texans, the Commanders once. They didn't beat them twice. They beat them once. They tied, or sorry, and they beat the, excuse me, and they beat the Colts.
Yeah, but they beat the piss out of the Colts, and they played
They
tough
beat,
against the
okay,
Vikings.
who hasn't beaten the piss out of the Colts, though? Since November, they've won 3 games. And you're going to tell me they're going to go to Minnesota
Yeah, I don't know. I
in the
remember.
play.
I remember Minnesota being down 30-0 to that Colts team. Yeah, I remember that fucking doozy. I don't know. Okay, you talked a lot. My turn. Not much to say. You said a lot.
Thanks, bud.
You know, no. I mean, it's the
But
reason.
no,
I guess it's tough now because I feel like this is the problem when you wait to bet playoff games. I mean, think of it this way. What should the line in this game be? I think the Giants plus 3.5 is probably right. And I would probably lean the Giants because the game was close. And I don't know. I've seen this Vikings team in the playoffs. I've seen Kirk Cousins struggle. I'm not sold on this Vikings team. I'm really
I'm
not.
not. I don't think they're going to go far, but they beat this Giants team once. They were beating them for the majority of the last game.
But can you say the Giants gain confidence from that? I mean, I'm not saying the Giants. I'm not staking my claim on it that the Giants are going to win. I would lean to the Giants side. Although, again, am I
You're
leaning
betting
on
on
that because the
Daniel. You're
but a lot
betting
of
on
the
Daniel
sharps
Jones.
like the Giants, and
No,
I'm
sharps.
not leaning
No,
on Daniel Jones. I'm leaning on Brian Daboll, who's shown himself to be a good coach. I'm leaning on Saquon Barkley, who's going to run the ball. I'm leaning on Kirk Cousins, who, let's be honest, he gets in the playoffs and doesn't perform well.
their sharps are not betting on the Giants. They're fading the Vikings.
Yeah, and in a close game, I mean, a close
And
game
the
at
money
three
too. The
points, I'm
money
probably
being
taking the
on the
points.
Yeah, but I think the money being only 52% of the Giants kind of goes to show you. I don't think all the sharps are on the Giants. If this was Minnesota getting more of the bets, but the Giants getting more of the money, I'd say you're probably right. But as split as this
What's
is,
the breakdown in money? 52 on the Giants. What's the money?
52 on the money for the Giants, but it's only
Oh.
55% of the bets on the Vikings.
So doesn't that tell you bigger bettors are betting on the Giants? I mean, not by a
But
lot, but
barely, but not by much. Like it's not like a crazy swing
that's why you said this was your favorite of the week. I don't know if I could support that. I mean, if anything, my
because it's
favorite of
at
the week.
three. Because it's at three. That's the main key.
Well, my
It's at
favorite of the
three.
week will come up. My favorite of the week will be there.
Yeah, this
So
is because it's at three. If it goes to 4.5, 5, and
I think
maybe this is a good.
anything above three has got to be a Giants. I mean, you can only play the
Four.
Giants then.
I'd play four. Anything over four. And maybe this is a good live bet opportunity. If the live odds come into the Giants +8, +9, live bet that. Because this game probably will be close. And I think if you could get an early swing where it's a +8, +9, that could be a hammer down. Whereas at this 3 point spread, if it ends in a field goal, you're pushing either way. And I don't like that. For me, I think this is going to be a 4 point game, not a 3 point game like it was last time. And that's on a worst case scenario. Let's be real. This Brian Daboll team has not come into the playoffs looking great. The Vikings haven't either, but Vikings do have home field
I mean,
advantage.
their backups lost by 10 to the Eagles last week. I don't know, man.
They, okay, but did the Eagles really try? I mean, they wanted to
Good,
win, but did they really want to try?
fair point. Fair point. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and like I said, I think 3 points isn't the issue. I just think like at three, I'm taking it with the Vikings because I think they can win by more. That's the handicap. Um, you know, the Giants did lose to the Cowboys. They lost to the Eagles. And Vikings, I mean, let's be real. I know they haven't looked great, but they have won more than they lost. It's just when they lost, they looked really bad. And I just
Hmm.
don't see a really, really, really embarrassing bad loss at home on wild card happening with this Giants team.
Hmm.
I could see it with the Niners. I could see it with the Eagles. I could even see it with the Cowboys again. I could see it if Green Bay or Detroit made it. I could see it, but not with this Giants team. Um, last point over 48.5. Vikings defense, like they have given up points. Like I said, I think this game will be close. Maybe it's upwards of 31-27, 24-34. It could be something crazy like that. A lot of the game will be on the run. I know that kills clock, but I do have over points here on the over 40, 48.5. Any thoughts towards that?
Yeah, if it's a close game, I would lean over to 28-24, 27-24. Yeah, I could see that happening.
I mean, we could be cute, and I'll take a peep real quick. There could be an overtime prop.
Ooh, bold.
Yes, plus 1360.
Ooh, that's bold. Wouldn't be the worst bet, tell you the truth. I could see this game. I think this is going to be the best game of the slate. Actually, if I had to guess, I'd put my money on this one being the best game of the slate.
Daniel Jones will throw a touchdown in each half, plus 185.
Could run and touchdowns too. He could run for two. That's the only
They have to
thing.
be passing, but
That's what I'm saying. Like, hesitate for that.
that's a good point. Kirk Cousins to have a passing touchdown in each half, plus 110. More reasonable.
More likely, yeah, more likely.
Okay. On to the next game. We're going into Sunday night, NBC
Prime time.
prime time. Baltimore traveling to the Cincinnati Bengals once again, second week in a row. Breaking news: no Lamar Jackson. The
I
line has
mean,
jumped from 7.5 to 9.5. Plus 380 for the Ravens, minus 500 for the Bengals. The over/under is now 40.5. Bengals are getting 79% of the bets on the spread, 83% of the money. Money management, take it away.
so, I guess between this and the Bills, you could argue which one's the favorite of the week. This is the second game that's a non-compete. We've seen this game last week. We've seen it before. We know what the Ravens are without Lamar Jackson. They're just a bad team. They're not a good team without Lamar Jackson. And this game was an 11-point win for the Bengals, and they didn't even really do anything in the second half. I mean, why is this game going to be any different? What has changed in a week?
Kyler Huntley.
Lamar Jackson just quit on his team. I wouldn't pay that guy a nickel, by the way. Wouldn't
They're
pay that
probably letting him
guy
go.
a nickel.
I mean,
Scrub bum.
well, okay, let's start with this. PCL injury. Do you, I guess, not only take him seriously, do you blame him for a guy who hasn't been paid, who, let's be real, is the offense, is the only reason they've been successful lately? I, I'm not going to argue that he hasn't been asking for too much, but do you think Lamar Jackson has every right to sit out? Because I personally do.
I
I
mean, your
think this is
team's
your statement to the Ravens of saying, if you don't want to pay me, I'm not going to risk further injury
I
and
mean, your
risk to my
team's in the
career if I'm hurt.
playoffs, though. Your team's in the playoffs. What a loser. I'm sorry. Lamar Jackson, zero respect. Loser. Loser. No offense.
Well,
Tua Tagovailoa? Yeah. Guy's been concussed 3 times. He gets another one, he may not play again. DeMar Hamlin, practically dead on the field. No offense, you got that PCL injury. You've been out all year. Your team's in the playoffs. You want to get paid? If I was an owner, I wouldn't pay him. Is that what he's going to do? Just shut it down? Playoff football? Just,
I mean, I don't think he does that if he has the contract. I think two things are true. I think
Yeah,
if
how
he has the
Kyler Murray
contract,
look
I
after
think
getting a contract? How Kyler Murray look this year, getting that money?
I
How'd that work
well, I mean,
out?
they were already losing, but I think if you had, but think of it this way: Kyler in the playoffs last year, if he had the contract, if he had
Yeah,
gotten hurt,
at least he
I think
played.
Kyler gets his ass out there, and at least he played. Lamar Jackson doesn't have the money, and I mean, I'm not saying he didn't have a decent rookie deal. I mean, I don't have 36 million, but if I did,
And again, I'm not saying he should have put himself at risk. I get regular season, but this is the playoffs, man. This is to go to the Super Bowl.
I
When
mean, point aside with Lamar, just so we can keep it going. I I don't fault the man for not playing, but at the same time, it's a bad look. And I think if you're Lamar and you're expecting that they're going to sign you, this is not the way. Which goes to show me this could have been Lamar's last season as a Raven.
Yeah. But I mean, this goes to everything. This is the whole handicap. It just shows that this, let's be honest, this Ravens team has been treading water for weeks. They're not a contender. They're not. I've seen this game last week. The Bengals get up to a big lead, didn't even play the second half. Home playoff game, especially if Buffalo wins earlier and they're going to play Buffalo. And they thought that, I mean, there were people that thought if DeMar Hamlin didn't get hurt, I read some of the stuff. Buffalo was about to get their ass beat if DeMar Hamlin didn't go down. The Bengals were going to win that game by 30. Like they were talking shit for that Buffalo game. Buffalo wins at 1 o'clock, chance to go to Buffalo, make a statement. You better believe they're going to kick the shit out of the Ravens. I think that's a blowout. I think Bills, Dolphins, Bengals, Ravens, co-favorites. Forget about the lines. I think these two games are going to be blowouts. The Ravens are a dead team. Dead team. They're done. Stick a fork in them. That's my handicap. There you go. See, sophisticated. I'll give you numbers. A bibbity bobbity boop. A bibbity bobbity boop. How about last week the Ravens were dead? The Ravens have been dead since Lamar's gone. There's my handicap. Dead, stinking, done. Ravens, goodbye. See you next year. Done.
All
Dunzo.
right. Here. Okay, Cincinnati will win, but this is my fade of the week.
Oh,
I
terrible.
actually would bet the Ravens with the points
Oh,
if I would, if I
that's a
were to bet
horrible
it.
play. Is Tyler Huntley playing?
Yes, supposedly
Is that good?
he's practicing, which leads to show he's gonna play.
I mean, he's
Uh,
injured.
Here's my thinking. And again, let's fully admit you're 100% right. This is not even close to my greatest handicap. This is probably me playing devil's advocate. Let's be
Okay,
real.
I'll entertain you.
I was not at all impressed with the Bengals last week. In a game where you're exactly right. They came to a big lead, but by big lead, it was 28. Big lead to me is like 35 at the half, 40
Did you
by the
ever?
end.
Was there ever a point in the game you thought the Ravens were going to win?
There was a slight chance, and it was before they fucked up. There was a slight chance. There was one time where I was like, holy shit, this is like a 2 point game. There's enough time. Ravens could do this.
Yeah,
Then they threw a
the
pick.
viewers are going to appreciate this part of the show. I'm going to find the ESPN. Keep going, buddy. I'm going to find the ESPN
Yeah,
win percentage last week to see what the Ravens' high point was in the fourth quarter. Keep going, bud.
sure. Sure. So, anyways, now again, you could be concerned with this at 9.5. Now that they don't have Lamar, one hand, it makes absolute sense for every reason you've said. On the other, here's my concern. It's Coach Harbaugh. There are two playoff scenarios that this guy has actually come in clutch. Scenario number one, as a wild card, 6-1 straight up in ATS. Number two, on the road, 11-4 all time. He has covered 7 road games in a row prior to the Buffalo game during the COVID season. The COVID season, I know it's real, the stats count, but bit of an outlier in depending on who you talk to. The NBC primetime slot, believe it or not, Cincinnati, they've had 5 games in the playoffs.
Hmm.
One time they've won, and it was last year to the Raiders. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. You there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did you go? Did you go down?
Sorry. I'll cut the video just for now, just because difficulties. But anyways, as I was saying, Cincinnati 5 games on NBC primetime in the playoffs. They've only won once, and it was the Raiders last year. Ravens are 3-1 ATS this year as road underdogs. The Bengals obviously have been good at home. They've been good to end the season. They're only 4-2 ATS as home favorites. They've won 6 in a row at home. They have been undefeated against November. And this to me just seems like of all the games where you're thinking there could be an upset, this is the one you least expected. And when this is the one you least expected, it's the one you probably should pay most attention to. And Tyler Huntley, I mean, he's serviceable. I don't think he wins, but I think at 9.5, not even backdoor cover. And this is an AFC North game. Those games just tend to automatically be close as it is. Last week, when these teams played, it was 11.5 with a third stringer,
Yeah.
and the third stringer got the cover. So why all of a sudden with Tyler Huntley, who probably is a better quarterback,
They
should the
didn't get
Ravens
the
win by
cover
more than
last
10? That's
week. It
kind of my
wasn't.
crazy thinking.
It wasn't above 11.5, was it? The Ravens covered last week.
I'll leave you to rebut, but
Can you hear me? Oh, did you go out? Oh, we're definitely having tough technical difficulties now.
yeah, it was.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm here, but
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna say, did the Ravens cover last week? I didn't think the Ravens covered last week.
They did. It was 11.5. They lost by 11.
Oh, geez. Okay, so a backdoor half point cover. So they cover 11.5. The game's 11, and now it's 9.5. Is Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Huntley worth 2 points?
He's better than the third stringer, which I mean, I guess is 2 points. I mean, I
I
liked it better when it was 10 points.
I was trying to pull that up.
You've seen this game. The
I think
Bengals and
me
Ravens.
trying to pull up the game was causing the technical issues, so I'm just gonna stop doing that.
Okay, I got my other computer. I could try to pull it up there. Um,
Yeah, I don't want to continue to.
but yeah, my point that I'll bring up, last point. These teams, they always play close, and I know it's a backup quarterback, and I think the sharp angle is to just lay it with the Bengals here. But my thinking is that this is the game besides the Bills and Dolphins. And I think a lot of sharps too are looking at the Bills and Dolphins game to be the upset central. This is the game I actually think people need to be looking at and be concerned with. And I don't even think the Ravens will win, but I just think 9.5 are AFC North game regardless. Not that it's ridiculous given the circumstances, but I just think it's a lot. So again, if I were playing the points, I'm playing the Ravens. As ridiculous as it sounds, and knowing that it is ridiculous, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I hear you. No, I really don't have anything more on it. I mean, I guess I could see where you're coming from, but I just think in the playoffs, I think this is going to be a there's going to be a walkover in my opinion. But we'll see, man. We'll see. The last game I'm fascinated about. I don't. Do you have anything more on Ravens Bengals? Because I'm fascinated about the last game. That's my favorite game of the week in terms of just like curious to see what happens.
Baltimore 2-4 ATS in division game. Cincinnati's 3-3. So you're looking at a coin toss at best. But look, yeah, let's go. Monday night, last Monday night of the game, Dallas is going to Tampa Bay. Dallas is laying 2.5 on the road, minus 142. Over unders 45.5, and the Bucks are plus 120 home dogs with Tom Brady in the playoffs. This is a Chewbacca game if I've ever seen
Yeah,
one.
dog of the
That's my
week,
take.
double dog.
How do you not? How do you? This is
Yeah,
Chewbacca. What do we do with Chewbacca games, Jason?
you bet them. That's what you do.
This should be flip flopped. Dallas should be a road
Yeah,
dog.
I think the line is wrong, or at least it should be a pick 'em.
I could understand a pick 'em. I really could. Okay, but let's look at it this way, Jason. Dallas is gonna let's think of it this way. We're Dallas fans. We are pathetic, lowly Dallas Cowboys fans.
Maybe we'll
We
win a
probably
playoff game one of these days.
let's start our Super Bowl run. Okay, we're gonna start our Super Bowl run in Tampa. Let's beat a quarterback who's never lost to us in 20 years.
7-0. Yep.
Okay. Um. Oh. Here's another thing. Jason, let's start the Super Bowl run Let's get a road playoff victory. When's the last time we've done that, Jason? If we're Cowboys fans, when's the last time that's happened?
I have a feeling Troy Aikman was our quarterback.
Maybe. And that's because I'm not a Cowboys fan, and I'm guessing he was. I'll give you a hint. It might be as old as you.
93, 92.
93.
Yep, Troy Aikman.
The Cowboys have not won a road playoff game since 1993 in the NFC Championship. So let's get this straight. You haven't beaten Tom Brady in 20 years. You haven't won a road playoff game in 30 years. And now you're a road favorite.
Yeah, I mean,
That does
you,
not make sense.
bro, that's your best handicap of the year. I think I'm 100% with you, 100%.
They've covered 2 road games on the playoffs and they were underdogs. Okay, Dak Prescott. Let's look. Okay, so that's looking in the past. Let's take in a lot of time. Let's look at Dak Prescott. 0-4 ATS, 1-3 straight up in the playoffs. Like, guys, what are we doing? And
But
and
but
it's Tom
but
Brady
Steve, Dallas is coming into the playoffs on a high note. Remember when they played all their starters last week and
against the
lost by
Commanders.
20 to Sam Howell? I bet the Cowboys. Lock
Oh,
of the
I did
week.
too. I did too.
Minus 5.5 money. They played their starters and lost by 20 to Sam Howell. Are you fucking kidding me?
Now Tampa is the second worst ATS team this year. So is it insane that we're taking him now? No, because it's the playoffs and it's a whole different football game. It's a
Bro,
whole
it's a
different
different
field.
Tom Brady. Remember against Carolina, he had like 5,000 yards passing. I mean, this is what
Remember
he's
how he looked?
waiting
Do
for.
you remember how he looked against Atlanta last week? I mean,
Okay, till he came out. Not
yeah,
horrible.
till he came out. I mean, you're
Not
absolutely
like the
right.
Cowboys. Not like Dak Prescott, who was at one time 19 for 30 against the Washington team that had already been eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. No, this to me is like I'm wondering how do you take Dallas here? We saw this game week 1 when everybody was at their healthiest and their best, and the Bucks still mopped the
Wasn't the
floor
game
with
in
them.
Dallas too? I
Maybe
forgot if it was in
I'll
Dallas or
double
not.
check.
But it was a 2 point win for the Bucks.
2 points. It was like 16 points. It was like 19-3,
Oh, 19 to 3, my bad. Yeah.
and it was at Dallas.
16.1.
So at Jerry World, they won 19-3.
So now at home, yeah, this is Dunko favorite, wrong team favorite, Bucks definitely. I'm
Bucks are three
any
and one. Bucks 3-1 ATS is 3-1 ATS is home dog since Brady came down. And recently they lost to Cincy, but like we called that. That was or one of us called it. I don't remember, but
that was you. That was you.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you got it 100% right. You took all my thunder. That's what I was going to say. Brady 7-0 against the Cowboys. We saw this game earlier in the year. The Bucks won. Bucks are at home now, and the line is probably 2 points away from what it should be. It's just everything it says the Bucks.
Yeah, so you're saying neutral site. This is a 4.5 point game. That's absurd.
Well, you're saying in Dallas. I mean, you're saying in Dallas, Dallas is a touchdown favorite. We saw this game week 1. Is Dallas any better? Dallas is playing its worst football now. They're
Dak
not
has the
playing good
most
football.
interceptions on the year. Dak has thrown more interceptions than Zach Wilson and Kirk Cousins
Yikes.
in less games. The amount of talent that takes. Oddly enough, I'm gonna look this up. I'm really gonna look this up now. I want to know what a Bucks pick six would pay out. Special teams touchdown
Bro, he's keeps throwing them like other week. It feels like.
plus 9 to 1. That's a 9 to 1 bet.
Yeah, it's
I feel like you have to play that. I mean, God, there's just no way. Dallas defense 7.5 to 1. Bucks defense 9 to 1. What's more realistic? Like,
yeah. I wonder what the number is. Dak to throw an interception because I know that's a favorite play of yours, but if
I
it's
do love
anywhere,
knowing the interception props, but
what's that one?
minus 180.
I mean, that's embarrassing. They're basically saying there's a 2/3 chance he throws an interception.
Is it, I mean,